is all about now finally building out that final part of the alter ego, really creating that connection point of emotion, and then sending it out into the world and activating this thing, giving life to it. So first thing, super proud of the people that showed up today. The natural part of any trainings is the amount of people who showed up on day one and the amount of people who show up on the final day are typically different. Now, our percentage of people that have shown up today versus day one is actually way higher than the typical drop-off rate. So that's awesome and a testament to the quality of folks that are in here. So hat tip for you. And I'm super proud of all of the work that people have been doing so far, especially those that have been coming into the group and sharing the quests that they've done, the different activities that we've been putting in front of you. You're getting out on the field of play. So thank you for that. So let's take a look now at what we're going to be covering today. We're going to use either the observer or the immersion technique to maybe help you flesh out the alter ego. We're going to create the alter ego's origin story, because again, we live in story, we think in story, we use story as a way to take action or take thought and get it out onto the field of play of action. And we're going to choose that totem or artifact and craft that activation event so that it helps you switch seamlessly into the role of your alter ego exactly when you need it. And then we're also going to learn 2 ways to throw a ground punch for those times when you need that extra gear to move forward, that ground punch to help shut that enemy up for that final time and move it to the sidelines. And take your alter ego to the world to complete a series of quests. We're going to make a list of allies who could support your alter ego and your commitment to unlocking your heroic self, optional as well. Again, I've said this before, alter egos are a private thing. They're you bringing the trusted friend and ally in between the 6 inches of your own ears, and whether you've got people around you who are supportive and you've got trust with them, that's on you whether or not you want to share an alter ego with them. The great thing is we've built out a community of people who are all pursuing the same thing, so it's a heck of a lot easier in here. Finally, also learn how to apply the 6 mindsets to success so that you can show up as your heroic self on your chosen field and during those critical moments of impact. All right, so just as a reinforcement, we are here to finally polish off this canvas of the origin story and that totem and artifact to help activate who it is that we are showing up as on that field. Any questions or comments about the helpfulness of having this canvas gang? Would love to hear it. Personally, I think it's an amazing tool to help encapsulate and create a frame around really what we're here to do, in this entire class, which is essentially we're boiling all of this work down onto one sheet so you can have it in front of you. And it closely aligns the dual world that we all, the enemy and the heroic self. So awesome. Thank you, gang. Okay, so if you already have a fair idea of who and or what your alter ego is, let's alter egos. We're going to get some missions going to help you refine and clarify what you're looking for, inspiration, and then maybe this lesson is the one you need to help you build out your alter ego from scratch. So there's 2 ways to complete the prompts in this particular mission. You can either use the observer or the immersion technique. So what is the observer technique? Well, let me tell you. One answers the question as you would see the alter ego showing up on the field. So this is called observer technique because you're simply watching or imagining what they would do, say, think, or feel. The second option, and this is the thing that we teach and I've always trained people on when it comes to developing that movie theater in our mind. We can watch something happen or we can be experiencing it happen, which gets to the second one, which is to go through the exercise as if you are the alter ego. And so this is immersing yourself in it, and you're thinking through the questions as your alter ego. So, read the interviews your alter ego has given, and to watch videos of your alter ego to observe their behavior. So if you've chosen an alter ego, it's important to familiarize yourself with as much of their story, their narrative, their way of operating as you possibly can. Like I share the story in the book of my young athlete client who, when I gave him the task of learning more about Paul Bunyan, next day he came back with all of the data on Paul Bunyan and how amazing he was. And I needed him to do that, because if I just told him, that's one thing, but for him to go and experience it himself, he gathered the information. I didn't tell him what it was. And you end up picking up on nuances that now you are, more closely attaching yourself to, so you can see yourself as that person, possibly. So if it's a fictional character, from more books about that character. So Lee Child has this great group of books about the character Jack Reacher, and Jack Reacher is this former Navy officer, I think, or maybe Marine. No, he was a Marine MP. He was an MP, but this amazing guy who can, beat the crap out of so many people. Well, the more and more you understand him, the more and more you're going to be closely emotionally attached to it, which helps you activate that alter ego. Tracy, I'm a huge Reacher fan too. Okay, so getting to this. So mission number 1. So the first set of questions here is to deal with how you show up on the field of play. Then the next set of questions are around who you are, with what attitudes, beliefs, values, perceptions, expectations that your alter ego has. Remember, we're building that out off of that field of play model, right? We're creating that stack of that identity so that you can more easily act through it. And again, just like everything, I'm going to do the exact opposite of what other trainers do, which is saying you got to answer every single question. Not true. These are here as guideposts to help you get more clarity. Some of you, I already know this because I've been pinged already, have already been activating their alter ego, have already been getting massive wins with it already, which is awesome. And so this might help refine it. Other people, they feel like they need to complete everything, which again, is just a paradigm that you're operating through. It's not true. That's just the way that you're operating right now. But so we've included all these in the workbook here. So what are your actions and behaviors? What are the behaviors that your alter ego embodies? How will it act? Will its posture change? Will it hold its head differently? Will your facial expressions change? Possibly. Maybe you lean. Maybe you'll kind of hold yourself like more, erect. Stand up taller. Lean forward when you embody your alter ego. Right? Like when we're active, these things come in handy, because when you're activating, when you put on the totem, for an athlete, I want them to take an immediate, step forward, create some momentum with it. And, whether that's taking a step out onto the court, stepping up to their putt in a different, just very intentional with how you're showing up. Think about the physical mannerisms your alter ego may have. Maybe your alter ego is always smiling and excited and upbeat, enthusiastic. Hallmarks of people that I've met that are, just are amazing people. You can also consider physical qualities. What would your alter ego look like, possibly, if you were to embody them? What are their habits or routines of your alter ego? So I get that your current routines are this, but what would be the habits of your alter ego if you're showing up like Mr. Rogers walking through the door? Like if I'm showing up truly inspired by who Mr. Rogers was when I walked through the door to home after spending a day doing the work that I do, how am I showing up as Mr. Rogers? Like, what am I going to be saying? What am I going to be doing? How would he be walking through that door? And that gives me the inspiration to know how I can show up as that heroic self that I'm perceiving, that's going to help create the best possible performance, which again, performance is results on that field of play of home and life. So, what's your alter ego's presence? How do you carry them? How do you carry yourself in a room? How do they carry themselves into a room? Or answering this question, my alter ego believes, fill in the blank. My alter ego believes he's an engaging speaker who draws people into all his stories, and readers are excited about everything he creates. That's a pretty powerful paradigm to always be operating inside of. Untethers yourself from a lot of concerns about, are people going to think that this story isn't good? Well, if your belief is that you're an engaging speaker who draws people in, it's going to be activating a different quality. It 100% does, because this also honors the construct that I've been sharing with you all along. Is like my viewpoint on everyone is that you already have these qualities. I know that you do, because I've seen it. I've just done this work for so long. The traits are already there. And how do I know that? Because multiple studies are also there to show that. When someone puts on a white lab coat, all of a sudden, now they're careful, methodical, and detailed. When someone puts on a painter's coat, all of a sudden they're more imaginative and expressive and creative, right? Leave them in their plain clothes, and all of a sudden those things are muted and dimmed. So it's not magic, it's the mysteries of the mind. My alter ego knows, fill in the blank. As you're thinking about your alter ego, think about what it would believe about itself, and then about the world, which might include other people. So me personally, I just believe that everyone is walking around ready for another new friend. So I think the world's a pretty friendly place. And my experience of the world then allows me to engage with people on a consistent basis, have no concerns whatsoever about, people not wanting to talk to me. I have no concerns whatsoever about, me, interrupting people or bothering them. That's on them. If they think that I'm bothering them, that's their life. I'm not going to live their life. That's their own construct, not mine. You can also consider your alter ego's values. How do they show up? What do they value? Because we act through our values. So if you can, think of those things. You can also consider what thoughts your alter ego will have. If you aren't sure, try this. What thoughts will your alter ego never have? For example, Oprah would never think that they aren't going to want to listen to what I have to say. That she wouldn't be thinking that. My words have no value, or, she would never say something like that. Now, as a bonus quest here, you can, I talk about this exercise in the book as well, is to relax and imagine watching this character grow up from birth until now. What shaped them? What do they do differently from you? How do they look? How do they speak? What words or phrases do they use? What feelings do they have? What skills and capabilities do they possess? And there is no better genre of movies that does this than watching comic book or superhero movies. That's the whole origin story. It explains why, Thor operates the way that he does, or explains why Spider-Man is driven the way that he is. Explains, why insert the name of anyone, anything, and how they operate. Okay, so that's a good example. It's just it's a visualization technique to help you. Once you've kind of built it out, it's now you're building up the story of why they're operating that way. And again, you don't need to be doing this, but it's just some ideas for you. Number 2, imagine yourself in a lab creating the alter ego. What would you be doing? What would you be adding? What would you be taking away? And your inspiration should be coming from the worksheets that you had done in the previous exercises. You're going to be removing those things that are frustrating you. Videos or questions come in all the time about procrastination. Procrastination is it's a way that you're operating, but really the moment of impact is decision. That's what you're procrastinating, and you're avoiding a decision. So decision, how does your alter ego now approach decision? And I know this well, because that's exactly why I built out, Super Richard. And Super Richard, Todd was totally struggling with being indecisive. Super Richard never concerned himself with making the perfect decision. It was making the decision, acting, because Super Richard had the full confidence that he would always be able to adjust and respond in the moment, or learn the new skill. Nothing was going to be written in stone forever that I was going to be failing, or Super Richard was going to be failing. Exercise number 3 is write out a full conversation between you and the alter ego about a topic. what is it? So your alter ego is talking to you about, you know, their philosophies on business. You know, what do they think? And they're kind of mentoring you in that way, helping you overcome what those challenges are.